All right, guys, it's that time of year. I get tons of messages and comments asking me about stomp trails, rub trees, and whatnot. And question I've gotten a lot lately is, do bears have scent glands? And so the answer is yes, they definitely have a scent gland. So these bears rely heavily on these scent glands to communicate with each other. It's what I like to call a chemical business card to another bear. So when you see a bear approach a rub tree, like I show in a lot of my trail cam footage, those bears are going to approach that tree and they're smelling another bear that has been there before and that is rubbing on it. So basically the reason that they're doing this is, bears are pretty solitary animals other than this time of year, the rut, excuse me. So during the rut, they are on the move. So that's why I always tell people that you want to see big bears on camera, this is the time of year to run a camera and catch those big boars out roaming around looking for sow to breed them. And so bears have, somewhat of a large home range, and so they rely on this type of communication with other bears instead of having to face them face to face to smell them. They're using those scent glands to basically put their chemical business card out there that they're in the area. So bears have a prominent scent gland in their paw, specifically between their toes. And so when you see these bears coming down the stomp trails that I talk about a lot and that I show in my videos of these bears walking these stomp trails. And these trails are like generational trails. Not saying if you find one, it's going to just have tons of bears on it. It's really hit and miss. Not all my trail cameras on a stomp trail produce a ton of bears. Some of them do. I have multiple trail cameras that just produce bears every year. And then I have lots of trail cameras that I put out and they're just a complete dud. Like one bear, sometimes no bears. So I can't explain that part of it, but not every trail is money. So just keep that in mind when you find one. You may find a really good one and you may not. So when you see a bear hit that stomp trail and he's doing one of those heavy, exaggerated stomp twist motions, he's using that to grind his paw into the ground to leave his scent there. And from what I've read, it's a pretty long-lasting scent that's going to stay there a while. So that's why when you see these bears go down the trail, the stomp trail, that their nose is on the ground. Bears live and die by their nose. That's how they live. I mean, like I said in a previous video, they don't have the best eyesight. I think it's better than what most people think. But they rely on that nose. So they are smelling other bears. Do they smell me after I've been there and set a camera or gone in there and check a camera? Absolutely, they probably smell me. But specifically this time of year during the rut, they're walking that trail specifically because it's the rut. Yeah, they'll use those trails throughout the season, but it's more well used now. So preseason California, because we can't hunt until fall, but especially this time of year is when those trails are going to just get absolutely hammered. So they grind their foot. I believe personally, they're trying to make themselves also look as big as possible and to another bear by the size of the step. So that's sometimes when you see a little bear come through there or a smaller bear, that they're trying to step in that big stomp track, if that makes any sense. They're trying to make themselves look as big as possible so that when the next bear comes through, possibly they think it's another big bear. So another Another thing that I post a lot about is these rub trees. So you'll see a bear approach the rub tree. They're going to definitely be sniffing around. They're going to stand up and they're going to rub on it. Why? Well, they have scent glands around their head, their neck, and down their flanks. So they're rubbing that tree to spread their scent. I call it the telephone of the mountains. It's how they're communicating with other bears in that area. So they reach up, they scratch. Their paw has the scent glands in it, leaving scent that way. He's leaving it off his back, his neck, the back of his head, and those flanks. So all the way up and down that tree, he's going to leave his scent, so that when the next bear comes along, he sees it. I have seen sows also rub these trees. For the most part, it's usually a boar. I used to think only boars did it, but all the footage I've gotten over the years, I would see sows do it from time to time, but I would say that 80-85% of the time it's a boar. I don't think I've ever seen a sow go down a stomp trail and actually stomp down it. They obviously will walk down it, but mostly that is a boar doing it. So another scent gland that a black bear have is obviously an anal scent gland. So they're leaving their scent also through scat. That way they can identify their sex to other bears. Also, you'll see in some of my videos, you'll see a bear kind of just rubbing his butt against the tree. He's also leaving scent that way. Kind of nasty, but that's another scent gland that black bears have. So obviously another way that bears spread their scent is through urine. I've also posted about this and shown how black bears, when they're usually around a stomp trail, not always, but a lot of times there'll be a small little sapling tree, and you'll see that bear straddle that tree and kind of just walk directly over it, and it's getting urine on it. And so that's another way that they are spreading their specific scent. When they go down a stomp trail, same type of thing. You can sometimes see in some of my videos that a bear will be peeing, and then it's getting on his feet, and then that scent from his feet is also grinding into that stomp trail, spreading more scent for another bear to smell it. So also another way that they also spread their scent is through their nose and through their mouth, the saliva in their mouth. So when you see a bear sniffing or putting his nose to a bush or a small sapling tree down these rub trails, he's putting scent on that specific bush for another bear to smell. When they stand up and they bite and they pull on these rub trees, which I have a couple videos that I've posted lately of these bears doing that, when they bite on that tree, there's more scent. That's another way that they're spreading their scent for another bear. So same thing, when they stand up and they claw and they're grabbing on those trees, and wounding the tree, if you want to call it that, it's leaving, when they rip the bark off, they're leaving their scent through their pad. Also, when that scent gets into the sap on the tree, usually it's like a pine tree or a small like Doug fir or whatever you have in your area, that sap is preserving that scent so that scent actually lasts longer. The longer it stays, the better for them. So I kind of hope that explains it. I'm sure somebody's gonna talk crap to me and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's the internet for you. But yes, black bears have scent glands. No, I'm not putting out food, whatever. I've definitely been accused of, putting something out there because, and I will say, sometimes it looks a little suspicious when that bear comes through and he stops literally right in front of my camera and he's sniffing something. It's another bear. That's what they smell. I have gotten, I think, pretty good at camera location. I know kind of from previous videos and previous years where they're going to stop and what they're going to smell. Um, and a lot of times I don't know that in a new camera location. I don't know what they're going to do. I'll find a stomp trail. I'll just throw a camera up, kind of guess. But then when I review that footage from that camera, sometimes I learn a lot. I mean, I've learned everything that I know about bears. I'm self-taught. I've read stuff. Most of the stuff I've learned is from trail cam footage. First time I ever found a stomp trail, I had no idea what it was. I thought it was somebody that had walked in there in the mud like a human. Because, you know, when a bear walks, if you watch the videos that I post, their back foot will step almost identically where their front foot was. So it looks like human tracks. First one I ever found, that's kind of what I thought it was a human. I followed that trail because I was curious. I didn't know what the heck was going on. I found a rub tree. And then I found a lot of hair on that rub tree. And then you could tell that the tree was pretty scarred up from scratch marks and whatnot. So I set a camera there. I run my cameras all on video for the most part. Some are on picture modes. Some of the ones that I rarely ever check, like, you know, maybe once or twice a year, that are just kind of too far from home or whatever. Just, you know, that I'm not going to check that often, obviously, for battery life. But I've learned everything that I know, not everything, 85% of what I've learned about bears and how they move through the mountains through trail cam footage. So I never heard of the term stomp trail. I just kind of started calling it that. I don't, you know, I'm sure somebody else called it that before, but like literally when I saw it and then I saw the videos of them doing it, I'm like, look at those bears stomp. And so I just started calling them stomp trails. But they literally will walk down those trails, do an exaggerated walk, a stomp, a twist motion, forcing that pad into the ground, leaving scent. It's not for me to find, it's for other bears to find. It's just how they communicate. So I hope that explains it. You know, if you can find those, that's pretty much how I scout. Water sources, obviously. I like finding small water sources. I do not like big water sources like creeks and rivers. I try to find the small spring in the mountain that, you know, is a little ways away from a bigger water source, because bears are not going to want to or have to travel super far for water. They're going to go what's close. So smaller water sources are better than big. I'm not saying that big ones can't be good if you found a good trail leading to it, but I like the small water sources. Rub trees come in all different sizes. I've seen small ones. I've seen little trees that look like bushes that they'll use. I have some that I watch that are, you know, decently sized, big tree. But they come in all different sizes. And so if you can find those, that's a great way to start to find bears, because then you at least know they're in the area. So I will say this, as the year goes on, the stomp trail will start to peter out. What I mean by that is it will get used less and less and less. I normally notice that here in California late July. So come August, they're still kind of using them. Right before their archery opener, some of them completely die off. But then again, they will still use those. Some of those bears will just stay in that area. Some of them don't. Some of the biggest bears I ever get, I get them one time on camera through the season. And that's because they're out just traveling, looking for a sow. They're just moving through that area. But they're going to use that trail and then continue to move on and look for the sow. Some of your younger bears live in those areas. Not saying a big bear doesn't, but a lot of times those trails just kind of fade out as the season goes on. And obviously also depending on elevation. When you get going into the elevation, food sources change. So as a food sources change in the mountains, bears move. Obviously, they're just like any other animal. They're very food driven. If there's nothing to eat, they're going to change locations. So up and down the mountain, they're going to go, depending on what there is to eat. Acorns are never a bad place to find a good stomp trail. If there's acorns, there's usually going to be bears there all year. So it's just a matter of how many bears are in that area come hunting season. So just keep that in mind. But anyways, I hope that explains it. Video is a little bit longer than I wanted it to be. But sometimes you just can't explain stuff like this. It's kind of complicated, but you know, when they spread their scent, it's their chemical business card that they want another bear to find. So anyways, guys, good luck this year. I hope this helps. I hope this explains a lot to people that have been wondering or have asked me questions in the past. But yeah, can't go wrong with a stomp trail and a rub tree.